I really wanted to do this video because I want to help you be the most informed consumer of leather that you can be. One of the benefits of knowing about leather is you're not going to fall for some of the scams that are out there. And I recently was on a trip to Glasgow, Scotland. I took a tour, okay? And on that tour, there was this woman who got on the bus sometime after us, and she was wearing this coat, and either it was very old or it just didn't hold up well. And here's a little clip of it. But it really got me thinking that just because it looks like leather doesn't mean it actually is leather. And what's the highest quality leather that you can buy? And why would she continue wearing that? So I'm sure I'm going to leave some stuff out though. So if I did leave anything out, please make a comment down below and we can discuss it in the comments. Here's a little forewarning. You might see full hides of leather. If you're sensitive to that, I totally get it. I understand. You can maybe skip this video, or maybe try to skip that part of the video when I do talk about a full hide or a half hide actually, because some people don't like to see it. I get that. I understand. So anyway, I just wanted you to be forewarned. All right, tanning types. The first one is vegetable tanned. Our most noticeable vegetable tanned, or most noted, most popular, is Austin. It's a vegetable tanned leather, and it's gorgeous. It's been a staple for 9 years here at Chic Sparrow. It used to be called Darcy leather, but I changed it to Austin. I don't know how long ago. I can't remember those things. But okay, so vegetable tan. So it uses the natural tannins from plant sources to turn the to turn the hide into leather, and it's known to patina over time. It's just light sensitive, it's photosensitive. So vegetable tanned, it also takes weeks to make. It's not something that can be made quickly. Chrome tanned, on the other hand, can be made quickly, within hours, days, maybe even hours, but they use chromium salts to make that. It's very flexible and it's a lot faster to make. It's just a lot faster to make because rather than using plant material, they're using chromium salts. It's very scientific. And if they get the science wrong even a little bit, they could be making something toxic, but they have it down to an absolute science. Especially the tanneries that I get my leather from, so I don't worry about it because they are so careful. Aldehyde tan. Aldehyde is often called white and wet white. Wet white, and they use aldehydes for a formaldehyde-free hypoallergenic product. The next one is oil tanned, which is kind of a misnomer because people think that oil can somehow turn a raw hide into leather. It cannot. However, when they infuse the leather with oil after it's been tanned, it can be either vegetable tanned or chrome tanned. Often it's chrome tanned, but either way, then that leather has like an oily. That leather has an oiliness to it. Waypoint is a good example of that. It would be considered on the street an oil tan leather. However, it is a chrome tan leather that has a lot of oil added to it after it's been tanned. Alum tanned would be the next one. So this uses other kinds of salts, like alum salts, to make a washable leather. So this is more for garments. And then one that I don't have any, I've never had any, but brain tanned leather. And then there's the combination tan or duo tanned. An example of this would be Maverick. Maverick is duo tanned. It's vegetable tan for a while, but not to completion. And then it's chrome tanned to completion. And that would be an example of duo tanned. Let's talk about grain types, okay? So there's all different kinds of grain types, and really quick, which one do you think is the best? In no particular order, and I would like for you to tell me in the comments which one you think is the best, the top quality that you can get. Okay, so in no particular order, okay, we have suede. It's made from the flesh side of the hide, and it has a soft nap and a very soft finish. It doesn't like to get wet though, so when you clean it, you need special tools to clean it. But it's a very nice leather. And next we have pebble grain. An example of pebble grain would be Pemberley, okay, because Pemberley is actually embossed to make it look like that. So it's not a real grain, it's a pebble grain, and the one I use is called deer stamp. So an uh, embossed grain is when they take like alligator pattern and they emboss it into a vegetable tanned leather. It's really, really hard to emboss chrome tan. So anytime you see like that embossed grain, it's pretty safe to assume that that is a vegetable tanned leather, because chrome tan really does not take embossing very well at all. So an embossed grain would be like your exotic looking grains that have been imprinted into the leather to make it look like something else. Next we have nubuck. So nubuck is similar to suede. It's sanded and has kind of like that soft nap to it, except that rather than being from the flesh side of the hide, it's from the grain side. Okay, the next one is full grain leather, which that means that the outermost layer of the leather has not been altered, and it shows all the imperfections, it shows its entire life story, and it has all of its strength and integrity intact. That's full grain leather. I have many examples of full grain leather because it's very popular here at Chic Sparrow. We love to celebrate the inconsistencies that are found in full grain leather. So if you're looking for full grain leather, you are in the right spot. Top grain leather is a leather that has been sanded on the surface and smoothed out and everything to make it look, it's to hide more of the imperfections. It doesn't really weaken the leather too much, like hardly at all. And it's very, very popular in like high-end leathers, because high-end leathers do not want flaws or inconsistencies in their leather, because they are trying to sell a very consistent product at a premium price. So they don't like to necessarily, some of them do, but some of them don't necessarily like to use full grain leather because of all the waste that's involved if you are trying to produce a product that is consistent across the board. So you would have to throw away a lot of full grain leather just to get the pieces that are consistent with the other ones. So it's not desirable for brand names to use the full grain leather unless you know that's what they're going for. But you know, it's pretty wasteful in that industry, so they don't normally like full grain leather. They normally go for like a top grain or a corrected grain, which is our next one. A corrected grain leather has been sanded and buffed until it's smooth and all the inconsistencies are gone, and then it's coated with a finish. So it's a finished leather usually. I've never seen a corrected grain that wasn't finished. And if you put acetone on it, it will dissolve that finish, and then you can see the leather underneath. But that is very common in the fashion industry as well, and the brand industries, like high-end, very common for them to use a corrected grain finished leather. The Secret Garden would be considered a corrected grain leather. Okay, so that's all the different kinds of grains. Now let's move on to leather finishes. The first one is aniline. Aniline leathers are dyed with soluble dyes without a top coat, and it retains its natural texture. Semi-aniline is like aniline, except that it has a very light top coat. Pigmented leather is coated with pigments so that it has a really long-lasting, deep, rich color. Pull-up leather, or pull-up in general, is treated with oils and waxes, and when you bend it or stretch it, you'll see like a light a lightness kind of show through. Pretty popular, very desirable, very beautiful because they're always unique. Antiqued, which we have that option for the Austen line, antiqued, and that is where it is made to look weathered or old, or in our case, more like an artistic expression. Distressed. Distressed is made to look old and weathered, but rather than using dyes and inks to make it look that way, it's washed and tumbled to make it look that way. Sometimes even sanded in certain spots. Glazed. So glazed leather, a good example of that is the Austen line. Glazed leather has been made shiny by the process of heat and pressure. It's called a glazing jack, and it takes the leather and makes it just really shiny and brings out the natural oils that are found in that leather hide. Patent leather is coated with a very high shine finish. Burnished leather is when you take the leather and you hand rub it, and it kind of gives it like an antique look to it. It's almost always done by hand, and we don't do it here, but you could definitely do it at home if you wanted to. Waxed finish. A waxed finish is just that. It's a layer of wax put on top to protect it and keep it from drying out, keep it from getting wet. It's just a great finish. I like beeswax myself, but shoe polishes have wax in them, like carnauba wax and a bunch of different other kinds of waxes. But if you want to protect your leather, you're going to want to put wax on it of some sort. And if you ever get a notebook and you're like, that is not shiny enough for me, all you need to do is polish it with some neutral shoe polish, or if you have a shoe polish that's the same color, just use that, and you will get the level of shine that you're very happy with. It just takes a little bit of care. All leather products need care. And if you get one and you love the color, but you just want it more shiny, just shine it up. I do it all the time. Now we're going to talk about surface texture. Okay, so there's a bunch of different terminologies for this. The first one is striations. So striations are really popular in the Austen line because especially the Darcy color, because you can get these beautiful, almost tiger stripe looks to it. But a striation is where there's lines going through it that are lighter than the background color. So another one that has a lot of striation would be Scout or Maverick. That has a lot of striation in it. Wrinkles, on the other hand, are just that. They're wrinkles. They are lines. They can be straight. They can be bent. They can be any kind of shape. But wrinkles they don't have the lightness to them. They're just kind of folds and creases in the leather. Fat rolls. So a lot of people think that striations are fat rolls, and they might be caused by fat rolls, but really what striations are caused by is the dye not settling in certain areas because of the fat rolls. So yeah, that's the best way I know to explain it. Bug bites. So the further south the hide came from, the more bug bites it will have, and the further north it comes from, the less bug bites it'll have, and that's just because there's fewer bugs up north. A lot of our the Austen line, again, it's very, very popular, so I'm going to keep talking about it. All the hides come from the north, so they have very, very few bug bites, but there are some leathers that we get, like the creme, that comes from down south, and you will see a lot more bug bites on a creme than you would an Austen. Stretch marks. So stretch marks are very common, and they kind of look like little wiggly lines. Full grain leather, especially vegetable tan leather, has veining sometimes, and you will definitely see that in our patina line. It's unique to each one, and I personally like the way that it looks. So scars. Scars can be straight lines. They can sometimes people will see a scar and think that it's an ink pen that we marked it with an ink pen. Indeed, we did not, but it is a scar that has healed, and then when it got dyed, it took on more of the dye pigment than the rest of the area, so it looks like it could be a pen mark, but it's not. It's just a scar. And yes, scars can be straight. We celebrate scars here. Peeling or flaking. So you remember that jacket that I showed you earlier? So that is because it's laminated. If it's even real leather, it's probably laminated leather, and it just fell apart. In general, peeling or flaking is a sign of low quality leather. So you don't want that. It's also called bonded leather. And then last we have crust leather. Okay, so this is an unfinished leather left in its natural state after tanning. Sometimes it's dyed, but it's never polished. The next thing that we're going to go into is cuts and layers, okay, and also hand feel. So the first thing is patina. So patina is the natural age that happens over time. And the longer you use something, the more it's going to age, and the more it's going to just develop this used, lived in look. And that's completely natural and highly sought after. The next one is bloom, which is a white film that develops over leather that is high in waxes and oils. And if it's sat for quite a while, especially in a colder room, then it will develop that. It's really easy to get rid of, though. All you have to do is buff it with a horsehair brush or a microfiber cloth, or hit it with a low heat hair dryer, and it will go away, no problem. Suppleness, it has to do with hand feel and how soft it is, how smooth it feels, and how much luster is in the leather. And it's also very, very sought after. Here's some specialty leathers and treatments. Okay, so something to just bonus material. Okay, Latigo leather is a chrome and vegetable tanned leather. It's durable and flexible, and it's often used for belt. The next one is cordovan leather. Cordovan leather is made from horsehide traditionally. It is known for its richness and its smoothness, and I refuse to use it. So shell cordovan, it comes from the rump of the horse. So there's like these like oval shapes that are on the horse's butt, and that's where shell cordovan comes from. It's very popular for shoes. It's very popular for wallets, and it's highly sought after by certain individuals who like that kind of thing. I'm a horse lover. I used to have horses. I grew up with horses, so I don't do anything horse. Okay. Bridle leather. So bridle leather is finished on both sides, and it's mostly used in equestrian. I use, so here's a secret, okay? The Austin leather is a harness leather, which is very similar to bridle leather, but not quite. But it's called a harness leather, and it's made for harnesses. So that's why it has so much wax and oils in it, is because the animal sweats, and that will degrade the leather over time. But harness leather lasts longer because it has oils and waxes in it that keep it from degrading. Saddle leather is a very thick vegetable tan leather, and guess what? It's used for saddles. Reconstituted leather or bonded leather. Okay. It's made from leather scraps and fibers that are kind of glued together and pressed and made to look like full grain leather usually. And it's bonded leather. It's like the particle board of leather. And I don't have any of that. I've never used it. We have hair on hide. So that's exactly what I said. It's the hide with all the hair still on it. And kind of popular in the Western feel look. Slink leather, slink, S-L-I-N-K, is leather made from unborn calves. And I've never used that. I've never even felt it. Kind of don't want to. So, but if you hear somebody say, oh, it's slink, well, now you know what it is. And exotic leathers like crocodile, alligator, ostrich, I guess would be considered an exotic leather. My personal favorite kind of leather is full grain vegetable tan leather. That is my favorite. If you would like to see a video of my brother-in-law's notebook that he used for 5 years straight, check out this video.